Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about photography at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and hopefully help you out a little bit. First off, let's look at my shirt. This is my Epcot Flower Crown shirt, and this is the old version of it. There's a newer version with the colors are just a little bit different. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about photography at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, because it just started. I can't believe that. On Friday, that was the first one. I love shooting at the Halloween party. I love shooting the parade specifically, and the show if I can get a decent spot for it. So the first thing you're going to want to think about when you're going to the party, oh, well, I guess I should tell you too, I'm going to be talking in kind of an intermediate photography level. So if you don't really know anything about photography, aren't familiar with like how a camera works, this might be a little over your head. So maybe if you have questions, if you watch this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, feel free to ask questions. If you already know a lot about photography, you may be like, okay, I already know all this. This is boring. It may be over your head. But if you're in that intermediate level and you just want to take better pictures on your vacation, then this is probably good for you. So first of all, we'll talk about your equipment. When you go to the park, you know, you may not want to take a ton of equipment. It's totally up to you. I choose to only take my camera and at maximum 2 lenses. And you know, some people will bring a whole bag full of stuff, and if that's your thing, that's perfectly fine. You should totally do what makes you happy. I normally have my Sony a7 III and then my 28mm f2 lens and my 85mm f1.8 lens. And those numbers make a big difference in my photos. So the f2 and f1.8 just means that the aperture on those lenses can open way up and let a lot of light in when I'm taking pictures. So when it's dark outside, I can make the most of that light that is there. And get a little bit brighter picture. So when you're shooting at night, like I said, the aperture, you want something that can open up real wide and let in a lot of light. 1.8 is pretty standard. You can usually find a lens at various focal lengths that are 1.8. The bigger, the more zoomed in you're gonna get, the more telephoto, like 135, 200mm, you're gonna get into some big lenses if you want 1.8. So you might be better off going down to like f2, f2.8 if you want something super long, but then that's not going to help you as much for the parade. And the show should be fine because it's pretty well lit. But yeah, I usually recommend just a standard Nifty 50, 50mm 1.8 lens. It's pretty versatile if you want to start there. I used the Nifty 50 when I first started and I loved it. I would still use a 50mm lens if I had one, but I just don't have one yet for the Sony system. So yeah, that's a little about equipment. I can't remember if I mentioned the 3 things I was thinking about when I was thinking about what I wanted to do the video on were, and that I like to shoot, are the parade, the fireworks, and the stage show. Which actually with the fireworks, I don't really shoot the fireworks that much, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So with the parade, to me, it's all about the positioning, like where you are along the parade route, because the lighting is different all along the route. And even on Main Street, like there's spotlights, so the performers are kind of going in and out of good light. So you may have really good light right here, and then like 10 seconds later, they've stepped out of the spotlight and their faces are not lit. And so you may, I'm sorry guys, I'm just getting over a cold, so all the talking is making me cough. Anyway, so the performers, if they're not in that spotlight and their faces aren't lit, even if you expose the photo properly, it's not going to look good. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about photography. Like, you may get the photo bright enough, but if the subject's face is not lit well, it's not going to look good. So you want to look for places where the spotlights are shining on the performers. There's several places along Main Street where that is happening. And then I know around the castle they have a spotlight somewhere, because I got pictures over there a couple of years ago. I'm not sure about Frontierland. I'm sure there's spotlights. You just kind of have to walk around and look. You may even have to look during the first parade, see where the best spots are, and then come back for the second parade to get your spot. That's probably the strategy I would use if I was really trying to get good pictures of the parade. I would stake it out for the first one, and then after I found where I wanted to be, I would just come back for the second parade. So yeah, all about positioning with the parade. I like to shoot with my telephoto lens to really capture the performers, their faces and their movements. I don't get super close to them because I've just got an 85, like I said. So like if I'm sitting here, I'm kind of shooting down the way a little bit to maybe get full body, but also that lens compression. So, okay, rambling. I'm sorry guys, this is who I am. I ramble. Okay, so with the fireworks, sorry, brain freeze. With the fireworks, I don't really shoot them very much just because in order to get those like super epic fireworks shots, you really need a tripod and patience. And I don't have either of those things. Well, I have a tripod, but I don't take it with me. So yeah, if you want those shots where like the shutter is open for a long time and you get the light trails from the fireworks, you normally, this just like really quickly, this is a basic steps that I would take. Put it on a tripod, get your exposure set your shutter speed first. If you want to take a 2-second exposure, set your shutter speed, and then set your aperture and your ISO accordingly to make sure it's exposed properly. And account for the castle being lit up, because once the fireworks show starts, the castle's going to have projections and it's going to be brighter. So yeah, I would probably start with 1 second and then just see how it looks, and then maybe get a little longer exposures from there. And definitely look up some YouTube videos. There's probably some YouTube videos about shooting fireworks to give you a little more like in-depth instructions for doing that. It's really not hard. The photos end up looking really awesome and like complicated, but it's really not that complicated. You just have to have the tripod to keep the camera steady, and if you have a remote shutter release, that's really helpful too, because otherwise you're like pressing the button and then trying not to even breathe while it's open. Because if you like press it and then take your hand away, you're gonna move the camera a little bit and have some wiggle in the camera. So I usually, when I'm doing that, because I don't have a remote shutter release, or actually I do, it's on my phone, but I don't ever use it. I'll just press the button and then try to be as still as possible, and then when it's done taking the picture, then I take my hand away. Anyway, so that's fireworks. And for the stage show, really the only instruction I have is to use your telephoto, use your zoom lens, because if you're shooting the stage show wide, you're really not going to get a whole lot. You're not going to get a whole lot of the emotion and the, like, I don't know, I feel like those performers are just so good and so expressive. You can really get some amazing pictures of them, especially if you're zoomed in, not like super close. I mean, if you want to go super close, do it. But I think the 85mm works great in that situation. And if you're shooting on a crop sensor, it's even closer, so even better. And then the other thing, I guess, is just to like look for places around the park where they've changed the lighting and changed the ambiance, especially like Haunted Mansion, and just kind of, I don't know, try to capture that cool atmosphere that they've created for the party. I know there was, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, we rode the People Mover kind of towards the beginning of the party, and I took pictures of the castle and like just everything with the cool lighting, and those were some of my favorites. And that's not something you can get on a regular night, so look for those kind of things if you want to take good pictures. But yeah, and I don't remember if I mentioned with the parade your shutter speed. I think what people tend to do is they set their exposure and then their shutter speed ends up being really slow, like a 30th of a second or something, and all you're gonna get is blurry pictures, blurry, because those people are moving pretty fast. I mean, they're not like running, but they're moving, and you're probably moving too, so you're gonna get camera shake and motion blur, and it's just not gonna be good. So set your aperture as wide as it'll go, and then set your shutter speed. I usually try not to go under 200th of a second. Maybe I'll do 1/60th. What? How do you say that? 160th of a second? I don't or 125th, probably not that. Probably I'm gonna stick with 1/200th of a second, and then I'm gonna just crank my ISO as high as it needs to go to have the right exposure. So yeah, keep your shutter speed in mind. It's really important, especially when there's a lot of movement. And the stage show is gonna be the same way. You're gonna want your shutter speed to be fast enough to freeze their motion. Otherwise you're just gonna get a lot of blur. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about photography wise. Hopefully I've been able to find pictures to like put in the corners for you. If you have questions, please ask them. I would love to talk photography with you guys, especially Disney photography. I am definitely not one of those people that takes like those killer photos that are, you know, people are hanging on their walls. I just like to document my vacation in a fun way. And yeah, so, but I do feel like my pictures that I take at the parks are pretty good. Like, you know, they're not amazing, but they're pretty good, especially for just vacation photos. Okay, well, I think that's all that I have today. Yeah, I've got some pins I really want to open, but I feel like I should probably keep videos to like one subject, one topic, and not like go off and do like 10 different things in one video. So I'll save those pins to open for you guys at a later date. I'm hoping next week to have a food and wine festival related video featuring my other half. He's not super excited about being in a video, but he has agreed to it. So if we start filming and he's like not into it and like being really awkward, I may just say, okay, it's fine, you don't have to do it, and then just film it on my own. But if he's willing, we're gonna do a video talking about our top 5 things that we're looking forward to trying at Food and Wine Festival. So definitely subscribe and come back for that next week. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you're not melting in this August heat. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.